Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of Mark's Gospel, and we're up to chapter 5. And the first section of this is about the healing of the Gerasene demoniac. Now, it's not quite clear where this place is of Gerasene. There are towns of Gerasa and there's a town of Gadara, but neither of these can be meant here because they're too far away from the lake. So it's probably reference to a town whose name has changed, and there are various different suggestions in the commentaries as to which town it might be. Anyway, so it begins, they came into Top Heran, the area beyond the sea, or on the other side of the sea, into the land of the Gerasenon, and you'll see there are variant readings there of the name of the place anyway. Genitive absolute, and he having come out from the boat. So this is Jesus. So when he came out from the boat, immediately a man with an unclean spirit, so it's that use of with here for n. So a man with an unclean spirit met with him from the tombs, mnemeon. Now, interesting, we're going to get two different words for tombs. This is the one we're probably more familiar with, mnemeon, the second declension neuter noun. And there is another word for tomb, which is mnema, which we're going to see fairly soon. So we're getting two different words here for tomb, mnemeon, and we're getting mnema, both of these connected with verbs of remembering. So the man comes out from the tombs. The use of the genitive absolute here again is slightly odd, because it would have been more natural Greek to actually have a dative participle here and not have to repeat the auto. But Luke seems to like this construction. He's got a genitive absolute. Him having, when he came out from the boat, the man with the unclean spirit came out from the tombs immediately, Mark's favourite word, so he met him. Hos, he, Aken, imperfect from echo, he had his dwelling amongst the tombs, and here is this other word for tomb, mnema, and this is a third declension noun, so it's mnemata in the mnematos in the genitive, so we get a dative plural here, mnemasin, and we get ude and we get udes and uketi, lots of negatives here. So, and neither was anyone, so literally neither no one, so neither was anyone any longer able, desai, infinitive from deo, to bind out on him. Haluse, this is a dative from halusis, it's a third declension noun in is, means with chains. So no one was able any longer to bind him with chains. Well, we get three negatives here, but the sense of it's clear. Now, the next little section, we've got dia top. We have to go to the next page, in fact, to see how the construction is working here. So we've got dia top, accusative and infinitive. And so we get the infinitive here, and we're going to get another infinitive here. Both of these are perfect infinitives. So this is this articular infinitive, dia top, plus the infinitives on the next line here. So no one was, this follows on from the previous bit. So no one was able to bind him because oftentimes, polakis, for oftentimes him, to have been bound. So this is a perfect passive infinitive from deo. So oftentimes, so because oftentimes he had been bound with fetters, pedis, and chains. There's that word we had in the previous verse. And understand he again. Sorry, no, the subject of the infinitive here is this tas haluses. So this is the accusative from that halusis third declension noun. And the chains had been, diaspasthai is a perfect infinitive, had been pulled apart by him. So it's a passive infinitive here, had been pulled apart by him. And the fetters, sun tetrifthai, this again is a perfect passive infinitive from sun tribo, which means to shatter. So, and the fetters had been shattered. Again, understand by him. We get a nice little structure here that you don't see a huge amount in biblical Greek, but it's very common in classical Greek, and that is this chiasmus, that is a crossover. So in this first part we have the chains, the fetters and chains, followed by the infinitive, and the next part we have the infinitive followed by the chains and fetters. Well, the fetters go with this infinitive here, but we get a crossover of structure. So we've got the dative noun plus infinitive, then we've got infinitive, and then the noun. It's called a chiasmus, or a crossing over, because it looks a bit like the letter chi. And no one, iskuen, was strong enough, damasai, infinitive from damasdo, to tame him. Kai diapantos nuktos. Now, diapantos is idiomatic here. It's used so in classical Greek as well. You've got to supply chrono or something through the whole time, and hence the whole expression here means continually. So continually, and then genitive of time during which, nuktos kai hemeras, by night and by day. In the tombs, there's that third declension menema again, in the tombs, and in the mountains, he was krasdon, he was crying out. And so we get here this periphrastic construction here. He was crying out, and he was katakopton, well, probably something like cutting himself. Kopto is to cut, so gashing himself. Lithois, with stones, dated of the instrument here. So the behaviour of this man, we would nowadays refer to this as someone with serious mental health issues who's self-harming. But of course these ideas were foreign to the writers of the New Testament. For them, people who had mental illnesses were often, this was explained in terms of demon possession. Anyway, it continues on, and kai idon, having seen Jesus, apo macrothen. Now the apo is redundant here. This is a pleonasm, it's more than you need. The from is in that old then ending, it's an old ablative ending, so from afar, but they've put the apo in to strengthen it. So, having seen Jesus from afar, edramen, now this is from the verb trecho. So trecho is the verb, and it's an irregular verb, so you get dramumai in the future, and edramon is the aorist. So this has an aorist of edramon, and it means to run. So it's coming from two different verbs here. So having seen Jesus from afar, he ran, and he, well, literally worshipped him. So he fell down on his knees before him, so he worshipped him. Kai cruxas, aorist participle, and having cried out in a loud voice, lege, he says, historic present. These are very, very common in Mark, of course. Tit emoi kai soi. This is again idiomatic. It's literally what for me and for you. So it's a bit like our what do we have in common? What relevance is my situation to yours? It's an expression I think Jesus uses to his mother in another context as well. So it's an idiomatic expression. And then we get this vocative. Yesu here is in the vocative, and where, Jesus, Son of the Most High God, hupsistu. Now, this form of God, the Most High God, is not always, but often used of non-Jewish people referring to the Jewish God. And the fact that that there are pigs around, as we're about to find out, and the fact that he's unclean possibly gives the hint that this guy is in fact not Jewish, and he uses an expression that is used generally by people who are not Jews, referring to the Jewish God. Horkizdo, I adjure, is the word, you. It means, you can translate it slightly more easily by I beg you in the name of God. I adjure you by God. Takes a double accusative. So I beg you in the name of God, do not, so may plus subjunctive, do not for imperative, do not torment me, do not torture me, for he, that's Jesus, said to him, unclean spirit, come out from the man. And he asked, this is Jesus, he asked him, what is your name? And he says to him, historic present, the name for me is Legion, or Legion. This is a Latin name, referring of course to a group of soldiers. It's an example of a Latinism of which we have many in Mark, because we are many. And he besought him muchly that he might not send them out of the land. So the subject of this, of course, is the man possessed by demons. So he besought him a lot, muchly, in order that he might not send them, that is the legion of demons, out from the land.